use my affiliate link to support the channel down in the description. What's up, guys? It's MadGamesGX here, and we're going to be talking about 5 to 7 different combos, tips, and interactions you really need to know while playing Branded Despia this format and even going forward. There's a lot of different floodgates and different decks that we need to prepare for 10pi, and we have very easy free win buttons to win against 10pi and other decks on top of getting around floodgates like Rivalry of the Warlords, which can really just throw you off if you don't know these lines. So we're going to go over them. So guys, make sure to like and subscribe. If this video gets 150 likes, we'll make another 7 tips, interactions, and combos you need to know for Infinite Forbidden. So yeah, guys, and also leave a comment down below what you guys thought of your favorite tip and combo today. And if you guys have any tips and combos, let us know down in the comments. I'm sure everyone will be there to help. Guys, make sure to join the Discord also. Follow me on Twitter and check out all the links down below. Let's get right into it. Righty, so I'm going to show you guys how to play around Forbidden Droplet in Branded Despia. So let's just say this is your end board. You have a Tragedy in Graveyard. The other cards aren't really too relevant. You have an Aluber because you followed up with maybe you already normal summon Aluber. And then you have Tribution set and you have Brand Red set, but also more importantly, you have the Grand Guignol and Albion. This is a very common end board with Branded Despia because you use Guignol to send a puppet and then you were able to get the Sanctifier. This is unsuper polyable as well, so it's very nice. But this board loses very hard to one card and one card alone, and that's Forbidden Droplet. Forbidden Droplet can get around Sanctifier's untargetability because it selects the monster instead of targets it, and then also it's unrespondable. So it's very broken in that respect. You can chain it to Sanctifier, your opponent can chain it to your Sanctifier, and that will out the Gimmick Lock without even the need of a Bestial or a DD Crow. However, there's definitely an in-house way to play around it. It's a little complicated, however, we can still certainly do it. So basically, so I'm going to be showing you guys how to play around Forbidden Droplet in Branded Despia most of the time. So all you're going to need is a Sanctifier on board with a Retribution plus a quick play set. You're going to want either High Spirits opening or Branded in Red. I'd say Branded Red is probably the best option usually, so you can get more follow-up. So what is going to happen is your opponent is going to go and they are going to chain in draw phase, you are going to go Sanctifier, chain, targeting Gimmick Puppet, and Albion. It could obviously be whatever else is in your graveyard. This is just a test case. And then your opponent chains Forbidden Droplet. Forbidden Droplet at this point, they're going to have to basically not send a spell. Also, what you'd be able to do if you have a trap, obviously, here is this is preferable if you have a fusion duplication, but if you don't, obviously this is fine. But if they only send monsters, which a lot of the time they just do because it's a lot better to send monsters than spells or traps, what you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to go Branded in Red, targeting the Tragedy. Now, this is going to obviously not really matter too much for the fusion. This could be brand opening too. I could just go brand opening, summon a Quem. However, the main point is now that you have chained to the Droplet with a card that they did not send, so you're able to respond, you are now able to then chain Branded Retribution in order to make the Sanctifier actually spin back to the extra deck so that you can prevent the Branded in Red summon. Now, why would you do this? Because you're going to get rid of your Branded in Red and Retribution? Well, you're going to be securing a Gimmick Lock, so it's fine because you get the Retribution in the graveyard. But however, the most important part is your Sanctifier was going to be selected by Droplet. Now it's no longer on the board. So if they didn't select enough targets also, the Droplet's going to fizzle, but however, they can't even target or they can't even select the Sanctifier now to Droplet anymore to prevent the Gimmick Puppet. The effect happened off the field essentially. So essentially your Gimmick Puppet goes through full scale. So if you ever want to cure a Gimmick Lock through, let's just say, Forbidden Droplet, you're going to want to have Retribution Brand Red set because having, or even just a quick play, another quick play spell card really helps because if you're able to chain or even a trap, right? Like you have duplication plus Retribution. The main point is that you're going to use Retribution to spin back the Sanctifier in order to dodge Droplet and secure your Gimmick Lock. So that's how you play around Droplet in Branded Despia. You also have cards like Brightest Blazing Branded King that you can main deck or side deck in order to play around droplet as well, just as a on-field negate for face-up cards that you can chain to droplet. Shaddoll Dragon is actually one of the best cards in branded DESPIA side deck right now. Do you know why though? It is because Skill Drain is the only really good floodgate still at 3 that affects all decks that you see a lot of people either maining or siding from Yubel, or to even Snake Eyes siding it with, or Tenpai siding it. So the fact is you need an engine out to getting rid of the skill drain, and what better card to use than a Shaddoll Dragon from 2015. Now, Shaddoll Dragon is really nice because when you send it off a branded fusion, it will trigger in the graveyard as Chainlink 2, so you get to chain block your Lubellion and then successfully pop the skill drain before your Lubellion's effect would get negated on board by skill drain, because skill drain just negates the effects. They can still be activated, so you can, the technical branded player, you can chain block and make it so dragon happens first, so the skill drain is no longer on board when the Lubellion is resolving. So that's why Shaddoll Dragon should be in everybody's side deck, and I'd actually send that to Magnamut just because it's just a free card. So I wanted to talk about 4 cards that you really need to be running right now in your extra deck for if you're running branded Despia right now, because these cards basically completely cook Tenpai Dragons. If you have any combination of 2 or 3 of these cards in your extra deck, you are going to be just fine. So we're going to go one by one and show you guys why, and the combinations that you can use against Tenpai and why it's so good against Tenpai. So first of all is Luluwalilith. This is obviously a no-brainer. This card basically takes up as many dragons as possible, so you can basically contact fuse off your opponent's board of dragons with your Albaz in order to get an Luluwalilith for free, usually off a Rinbrum, because obviously Tenpai will be going first most of the time, or sorry, will be going second most of the time. Once they realize you're unbranded, they might be going first. That's even when this card's better. So I will say that this card is very good against Tenpai, and it's also hits the other decks like Snake Eye, because a lot of them are making Hope Harbinger, and then obviously Flamebird, and then just like random bestial varieties. This card will just give you an advantage in, as well as just being an amazing Rinbrum target that you can use to field, or to basically field super poly your opponent's Tenpai board. Now, these cards are broken in tandem with each other. I'd say Boral plus Stapelia is basically FTK versus Tenpai, so I'll go over these cards first. Stapelia is very good against Tenpai Dragon because of the fact it applies a continuous effect on its target. When it targets a monster, it applies a Predaplant counter. Then monsters with Predaplant counters, Stapelia's continuous effect, their effects are negated. So essentially, it will keep negating even through unaffected effects. So Stapelia will be able... So Stapelia is really broken against Tenpai because of the fact that it applies a continuous effect, like I just said. So essentially, when they have the field spell on the field and they activate its effect to make their monsters unaffected, as long as it has a counter already on the card, it will not... its effects are going to continue to be negated. Now, the key here is that the counter needs to be on the card already. So you Predaplant Stapelia monster on summon, and then they'll go Sanguine, and then obviously their monsters will be unaffected. Now, Borreload Furious Dragon's very good against Tenpai, and on top of Magnum the Reliever, because they are able to pop an opponent's spell or trap card basically once per turn. You have an on-field presence to always pop their field spell if they get on the board and they get to combo. That's basically game every time. Their field spell is very broken and makes all their monsters unaffected. So that's why we need to use things like Stapelia, which applies a continuous effect, which gets around the unaffected nature of the field spell, and then also Borreload to deal with the field spell, because if we aren't able to deal with the field spell versus Tenpai, we lose. Honorary mention goes to Bergram the Glory Dragon, because this card is also cannot be destroyed by battle, so it's very good against Tenpai. However, a lot of the time they will just go Black Rose Dragon. Obviously, you can have a branded opening in the graveyard, so that's always something to consider. And we're going to talk about Despian Luluwalilith versus Quaritis right now, because in general, I actually think Quaritis is really bad against a lot of the meta decks, and that actually right now Lilith is a lot better than Quaritis against most of the meta decks. Explain this why. Quaritis is very good in general against rogue decks because a lot of them just can't contend with its floating effect, where if it gets removed by the field by a card effect, you can flow into a Fallen of Albaz, which can be pretty devastating against most decks. However, a lot of the time, Snake Eyes will just use Flamebird and slot this into your spell and trap card zone, so it never even touches the graveyard. And then Luluwalilith, and then Tenpai will just essentially go to battle phase, and this card does not trigger in battle phase, and they can still use all their effects even with 0 attack and still synchro off. So I think that Quaritis is very much not very good against a lot of the top matchups. It's very good against Voiceless, don't get me wrong, I'm saying not to run the card. I think that people should be looking into both though, because Luluwalilith, this card can actually stop Tenpai very much, because this card can be used basically no matter what, and by the time they go into the synchro summon in battle phase, you can use its effect to negate it, so it can't revive, and that stops their whole combo. Now, so I think in general, Lulu is a lot better against Tenpai. It's a lot better against Snake Eye, because Lulu is an on-field Omni Negate that also gives all your monsters 500 attack. Very good card in a situation where Quaritis really isn't going to get its floating effect off. Also allows you to run the Deer Servant, so very good Quignall target. You can consider running it over Quaritis. I think Quaritis is still very good for the rogue matchups, but I think you guys should be looking into Luluwalilith if you're looking for a Quignall target to play into Tenpai and Snake Eye, because this Quaritis is not it, this format for that. Did you know that you can play around Droll and Lockbird and cards like Lady Labyrinth with branded Despia? And this goes for other decks too that use Droplet and Super Poly, but I think that we obviously use these cards some of the best in the game. So when Lady Labyrinth will trigger after a trap is used, basically, or even its hand effect, you can obviously use Super Poly. You have, it's your turn, you'll have chain priority to chain quick effects. So let's just say something happened and then Lady Labyrinth is about to trigger, but it's your turn, so you get a quick effect chain. You can chain Super Poly if it's active to basically turn off the Lady Labyrinth. This is the same thing with Droll and Lockbird. So let's just say I search a card, go Luber effect, they have a board that's super polyable. I go Luber effect, and then on res, I go Super Poly. If I'm afraid of getting drolled, let's just say I lose if I get drolled on this. In the situation where I lose, I get drolled, I think it's very smart to just shotgun the Super Poly. And especially this is a way to just use your Super Poly more smart, because a lot of the time you could just shotgun it, wipe the board, but if you can use your Super Poly on the same cards and then also use it to play through droll, you should be. So, or trigger effects like Labyrinth or something like that. So I think that Droplet's also the same, because both these cards are unrespondable. Droplet cannot be responded if you send a monster, and Super Poly cannot be responded to in general. So Droll will not be able to trigger if these cards are going off, essentially. So, and then same with trigger effects like Lady in the hand or on field. So I think that that's very good to keep in mind to play around things like Droll in particular, and then Lady Labyrinth. So did you know that Guardian Chimera is one of your best ways to play around Floodgates? But I'm going to show you guys how to play through Rivalry. I'm going to show you guys how to play through Skill Drain right now. So Guardian Chimera is very good against Rivalry, the Warlords, but you have to have a specific setup to pop the Rivalry. So let's just say you're under Rivalry right now, but you have Kit Springens in the hand, and you still have Guardian Chimera in the extra deck, and you have, let's just say, 2 monsters in hand. Let's just say 2 blank monsters in hand. And so you have no monsters on field too. So you go normal summon Kit Springens, use its effect, get a card. Let's just say this is the card. And then we put back a card. Doesn't really matter. And then what you can do is you can go search branded in red. You can search branded in red, go branded in red, targeting whatever you have in the graveyard that's a target. Let's just say it's Bestial or Luber. And then add to hand, and then you can obviously only make a beast at this point, so you banish off the Kit Springens, and then you go into Guardian Chimera since it's still a beast, and you're able to play through Rivalry. It's one of your best lines. Now, what's the line to beat over Skill Drain? Pretend this is a Skill Drain. So your line to beat over Skill Drain is usually through polymerization, or a branded in white plus a branded in red. Also, you are able to use things like fusion duplication. So let me show you guys. So let's just say this is Skill Drain on my opponent's side of the field. We have 3 different options, basically. You have to chain basically 2 different fusions at the same time in order to make Guardian Chimera dodge. So this is one of the funniest situations I had come up lately. It was with a fusion duplication and then a branded in red. So the board I think I had was, so let's just say this is the board, and we have brand red set fusion duplication against Skill Drain on my opponent's side of the field. This is looking not great. However, we still have a graveyard that is interactable, so that's very good. And we can basically make Guardian Chimera use its effect off the field. So what we can do here is we can go Brandon Red, targeting Fallen of Albaz, and then we can fuse off our 3 monsters and make a Guardian Chimera. And then Guardian Chimera Chainlink 1, we can then go Chainlink 2, Fusion Duplication from your opponent has no response, and target branded fusion. And then you can use Guardian Chimera plus an Albaz from your deck in order to make another Mirror Jade. So now your Guardian Chimera will resolve off a field and it won't be negated because Fusion Duplication sent Guardian Chimera to the graveyard. Guardian Chimera was Chainlink 1, Fusion Dupe was Chainlink 2. So Guardian Chimera is activating off the field. It can't be negated by skill drain. You get over skill drain. It's the same idea with branded in white, which is also a bit common, and branded in red, because you can go branded in, go brand white, make a Chimera, and then you can also go brand red, chain it, make it happen off field. Very good. All right, guys, hope you guys enjoyed those 6 or 7 tips that we had for branded Despia for this format. These are all killer just advice tips that I found through my testing this format that will help you out. Just get over the pain points and some of the difficult matchups. So if I missed anything, let me know. Leave a comment down below what you guys thought your favorite tip was. And if this video gets to 150 likes, we will do another 7. So thank you guys for watching. Leave a like down below. See you guys later.